We have some breaking news from the NHL. We have more activity on the NHL waiver wire, both with David Kampf of the Toronto Maple Leafs, plus a new player from the Edmonton Oilers, and some significant injury updates around the NHL, including some terrible news out of Montreal and some positive updates regarding Brady and Matthew Tkachuk. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a bit of a breaking and significant news here in the NHL. We do have some waiver wire activity and some pretty significant injury updates to discuss here. First, from the waiver wire, David Kampf cleared waivers. He was on unconditional waivers yesterday. So he's now cleared, which means that he and the Leafs can mutually terminate that contract, and he would be officially an unrestricted free agent, can sign with the new team pretty well right away. So we've heard that there's enough interest in Kampf. He's expected to sign at least a 1, maybe a 2-year deal, one for sure. Pretty much, if not today, then over the weekend. There's a handful of teams reportedly in the mix. We don't know exactly who those teams are. I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe Chicago, Vancouver. There's been a few other teams out there mentioned as well that have run into some injuries lately too. So we'll see where he ends up, but it is expected we'll have news on a signing for him here pretty quick. On new in the waiver wire here today, we have Troy Stecher of the Edmonton Oilers, the veteran right shot defenseman, making league minimum basically. The Oilers need to make room for Zach Hyman returning this weekend, so they not only have Stecher on waivers, but they've had to send Isaac Howard down to the American Hockey League. So that clears a couple of roster spots and money for Hyman to come back. They've been trying to trade Troy Stecher. They've been trying to find a home for him. They have more than enough defensemen in Edmonton, and it's not even that he can't play. It's not that they don't value him in any way. It's just they've got enough guys playing ahead of him that he's just not getting really any action. He did come in handy for them, though, as a depth option last year in the playoffs. He's got a lot of experience. I know some people were pointing to possibly the Senators. Of course, he does have history with head coach Travis Green, and they've had a couple of blue line injuries lately with Thomas Chabot and then Nick Jensen going down last night. Again, though, they do have some right shot D in the minors that they're high on, so I don't know if they'd rather bring up one of those guys versus bringing another veteran in. I'm not sure what they'll do, but either way, there's definitely teams that will take a long, hard look at Stecher, whether or not he gets picked up. It's kind of difficult to say, but the Oilers have been trying to find a new home, a fresh start for him. They have been able to find a trade, so now that they need the room for Hyman, he has to go on waivers. Now, as I mentioned, some significant injury updates, the worst of it being out of Montreal. We saw last night in their really bad loss for the Dallas Stars, losing 7-0. Not only was it a bad loss on that front, but there was a scary incident involving Habs forward Alex Newhook, who is a shame too because he's having probably the best start to his NHL career. A player who's was drafted as being top 6 potential, has been kind of more of a third line player for the most of his career, where he started with the Avalanche, where he was able to win a Stanley Cup with them. And their run came to Montreal with an opportunity, hoping to be able to play higher in the lineup. And he has at times, but not as consistently. But this year, he's, like I said, he's having a great start. And, well, now he had a bad crash into the boards feet first last night. The ankle is the injury. And he's going to be out, I think it's a fractured ankle, if I'm not mistaken. But he's going to be out for 4 months. So that puts him to somewhere around the middle of March. So that would be after the trade deadline, but with a couple of weeks to go in the NHL season. So that's if everything goes well, of course, with his rehab. So that's just really unfortunate. Like I said, we're not even to the 20-game mark of the season after the best start of his career, and now he's going to come back with probably 3 to 4 weeks left. So the Habs are definitely facing a lot of adversity. They had a really good start to the season. They've been hovering near the top of the Atlantic Division. As of right now, they're in a 3-way tie with the Sens and the Bruins. And they're going to, like I said, we'll see how they respond. They've had back-to-back tough losses, 7-0 to the Dallas Stars, and I believe it was 5-1 to the Los Angeles Kings a couple nights before that. So that's outscored 12-1 in their last 2 games, both on home ice at that, which they normally play very well. Goaltending, which was definitely a strength previously, has been a struggle lately. Dobush has had a couple of rough outings. Montembeault hasn't been great. And now not only Newhook, but Kaiden Guhle's out long-term as well. So he has a torn adductor that required surgery. Apparently, there was some hope that he was going to be able to rehab things, but turned out not to be the case. He's looking at an 8 to 10 week recovery. So a top 4 defenseman out. They already lost Patrick Laine, who I know his role was hard to say exactly what his role was, but definitely somebody who's counted on to score goals. So they're definitely facing adversity with injuries, and we'll see. They do have I think their schedule to start the season was a little bit easier than it will be coming up as well. So it's going to be it's an opportunity for them to face some adversity, and we'll see how they respond. If they come out finding ways to win games and get points, then they'll be better for it. And if it's a case the injuries might catch up to them and slow them down, but you have to have that next man up mentality, and we'll see what other guys can do in the injured player's absence. Now, as far as some guys coming back, we do have some good news. The Maple Leafs today recalled goaltender Joseph Woll, so his conditioning stint's over with, and he's back to the big club. They'll welcome him back after struggling as of late as well. So he's back, and they were also able to recall Easton Cowan too. Austin Matthews has been officially added to injury reserve, retroactive to November the 11th when he was hurt there a few days ago. So Matthews will continue to be out. I believe Stolarz is still out for a bit. And then, of course, Woll will likely get a game here coming up, I would assume this weekend, and Cowan can jump back into the lineup as well. Some positive news on both of the Tkachuk brothers, of course, who, as I said, launched their podcast here yesterday, called Wingman's. Pretty entertaining listen on their first episode, but Sens captain Brady Tkachuk was on the ice today with the team, and actually for the first time since his significant thumb injury, it was handling pucks and shooting pucks, and looked to be doing pretty well. I know based on what he had to say on his podcast yesterday, and based on what head coach Travis Green said today, it sounds like there's a possibility he could play within 2 weeks, but Travis Green was pretty non-committal on a date, so they don't really have a firm date or anything in mind, just that he's getting close and, maybe in around 2 weeks. But Brady on his podcast seemed a little bit more optimistic that within 2 weeks he'd be playing. And Bruce Garriock, who covers the team for TSN and the Ottawa Sun, had indicated that they were kind of targeting, because they have one more home game, then they're on the road for 7 games, and that probably by about the 3rd game of the road trip, probably in LA, is kind of what they're hoping for. They have a 4-day off stretch before heading west as well, so that's kind of the target, without officially confirming it, if you will, based on what insiders are saying. The Panthers as well confirmed today with a social media post on Matthew Tkachuk, and he also talked about this on the podcast as well, that he is going to be able to resume on-ice rehab in approximately 2 weeks. So that will put him, of course, near the end of November. There was talk that he would likely return in December. Some said maybe it could be early January. So we'll see. But obviously, with the fact that he can start getting on the ice, obviously a lot of that will be determined by how everything responds, of course. But optimistic right now for a December, probably looking at a, middle to late December. But we'll have to wait and see. The fact is he's getting on the ice here right around the end of the month, which will take things to the next level for the Panthers, who were kind of trying to hold on, get some guys back. They're also a team that's been badly beat up and dealing with significant adversity due to injury. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news. I'll be back later recapping the rest of the news and rumors around the entire NHL. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.